Giorno di Festival del giornalismo di Perugia, siamo nella sala dei notari, è appena terminato il keynote speech di Wolfgang Blau, il direttore delle strategie digitali del Guardian, dal titolo Senza media paneuropei, siamo pazzi. You are a digital journalist. Can we still talk about two different journalism, a traditional journalism and a digital one?
I don't really think so. I think that no matter which medium you work in, broadcast, print, radio, television, or online only, the expectations of your readers or viewers have changed because they experience now that their airline, their health insurance, the school board of their children often answers through social media, answers individually. And so they expect the same from us. So they expect a different behavior also from newspaper journalists in terms of how responsive they are. And of course, for us journalists, our ability to do research and to identify topics much earlier or topics we would never have found out about otherwise has also changed dramatically. I still think, though, that there is value in specializing on print journalism only or broadcast journalism only. I don't really believe in this multidisciplinary journalist who is as good in any of those different categories.
Thank you. Your speech was about the need to have a pan-European media. Why do we need it and how could it work?
So many of the issues we discuss in our national media outlets are really not always global issues, but many times pan-European issues. We, in 18 countries, share the same currency. We share so much of cultural heritage. So many of our writers and poets in the Renaissance and earlier were already in exchange and highly influenced with each other and by each other. I think it should be in our interest to give Europe a stronger voice and also be aware of the fact that more and more global players are moving into European markets and are rolling out regional editions in European countries and are thus effectively organizing a pan-European media sphere. I think that's a good thing. I very much welcome Arianna Huffington and BuzzFeed and Vice in all of these markets, but I think there should be also newsrooms and journalistic organizations from the continent doing the same thing and also being heard around the world. Currently, the perception of the European Union in Asia, Africa, the United States is mostly being shaped by American and British media. And that is valuable. They are producing fantastic journalism, but it concerns me that it is not equally being shaped by media from the European continent.
One question about The Guardian. Most of international media are going toward a paywall model. Why did The Guardian choose a free model and how could it work?
The debate over paywalls or not has become somewhat orthodox, especially in countries in smaller markets such as Germany or Italy, where there's only so much room and so many people who speak that language towards you could expand to. In these countries, there was this fantasy, if only all media outlets would move behind a paywall, then somehow we could all just keep doing business as usual. That has always been a fantasy, because as soon as that would happen, there would be a massive market opportunity for one startup that publishes without a paywall. But during these recent years, when the crisis manifested itself more starkly, it has become an orthodox discussion. Are you for it and are you against it? The Guardian has always tried to stay away from that and is flexible about it. We only say right now it is not the right thing for us, but if at any given point in the future it should be the right thing, we would certainly consider it. Right now we are competing mostly with other internationally or globally active media outlets. There is a race going on between the Wall Street Journals, Huffington Posts, BuzzFeeds, Daily Mails, Guardian, and so many other traditional brands around the world to go into various markets, and moving behind a paywall would be counterintuitive. And beyond that, we're also seeing significant growth in digital revenue, double-digit growth in digital revenue from display advertising. So we just have no incentive to diminish that growth by establishing a paywall at this point.
And final question, what do you think about Italian journalism, and which are the big differences between Italian journalism and English journalism?
That is a difficult question for me to answer because my Italian is very limited. I do spend quite some time on Italian websites, but more with my interest in web design and user journeys and how do they build their video players and what works on their social media accounts. So I wouldn't dare to really answer that in a qualitative manner. But I'm aware that, for instance, La Repubblica's video strategy seems to be incredibly successful. And I'm also aware that there seems to be a significant amount of online-only players in the league of the top 10 in the national traffic rankings, if I'm not misinformed. And that is quite unusual. That's not the case, for instance, in Germany.